RI 8.5, we're doing our mastery task, and we've already learned a lot. We've already gone over our standard. I'm going to review it a little bit. And we've already done our lift align strategy. Okay. So we did that yesterday. We have practiced that. All right. And now we are going to practice our standard task and what it's asking us to do. So we're going to dig really deep into what it means to master the standard and analyze the structure, not just identify it, but to analyze the structure and evaluate how it's being used in the text. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of that work today. So I want you to tell me in the chat, everybody go ahead and type one line you lifted from your model text already. One line you've already lifted from your text. You got to choose your text. All right, go ahead and tell me one line you lifted. All right. I want to hear voices. So can someone tell me a different type of text structure? What are some of the types of text structure? Go ahead, unmute, tell me. Y'all remember. So now we know what that is. We know how to find it. Now we have to figure out how to analyze it. We're leveling up today, okay? So today you will be able to determine what pieces of the text most support the main idea and explain how the author's writing style, so that's the way they use their words, make it clear for readers to understand. All right, we're going to go in a think tank today. Y'all already know how think tank works. You're going to go into your Padlet and you guys are going to have a conversation virtually, click, and you are going to explain how we make connections between our thoughts. So you guys are going to write down your thoughts and then you're going to go through and you're going to click that connect button and you're going to connect them so that we can see how our thoughts are related. All right, and the last thing you're going to do today is you're going to create a think talk. Okay, all right, I'm going to give you 90 seconds. You're going to explain in a video of your own. You're going to explain exactly what you learned today. You're going to show you're demonstrating your analysis of your text. So whatever choice text you had today, all right, you are going to demonstrate how you analyze the structure, how you found the information, and what you learned. So just a review, lift a line. We did this yesterday. Okay, you lifted a line from your text, and now we're taking that text and we're going to step it up and we're going to figure out what the text structure is. So lift the line. That means you found the lines that were important, and then you explain what they show us. And you started with the words, this shows, and what does it show the reader about the topic, the author, the purpose, or the audience. Okay, so we've already done that. We are moving on, and today is the day where we focus on our standard. So we got our strategy, now we need our standard. So, you know, we just recently tried a task. I want you to think about what your star levels were when you did that. How many stars did you receive? And I want you to take a moment in the chat right now. Make sure you send it to me privately. Take a moment in the chat. And I want you to tell me, what is your star goal? Speaking of that, let's look at what it means to get a level 4 star today. So if you're going to get a level 4 star, you have to identify the paragraph. We have to describe what it means. We have to identify the structure too, okay? So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to go through in detail, and we're going to look at mine because it's color-coded and makes me feel better. All right, so we're going to identify a key paragraph and its structure. Then we're going to describe its meaning and purpose. Then we're going to locate the sentences within the paragraph. So we're going to look at that one paragraph and we're going to look at those sentences in it to make sure that we have what we need and that prove that that's the purpose. Then we're going to explain. We got to elaborate, friends. Remember, we practice writing long. Explain how the sentences support the paragraph and the central idea. Then we're going to find another one. So we can't just have one sentence. We got to have at least two. Okay. And then we're going to evaluate how those choices supported it. Did they do a good job? Did they do a bad job? Did the author confuse the reader? Did it help the reader? Did it hinder the reader? What did it do? So we got to go to that next step and say, how did it help the reader? Okay. So now I'm not going to show you my example yet. We're going to look at the task. Okay. So here we are. We're going to use Our favorite book, this is our read aloud. It is A World Without Fish by Mark Kurlansky. All right, we have been reading aloud from this, and this is from pages 25 through 27. You know that we've been going through this book, and I love it. It's amazing, right? Y'all don't like it? Okay, I see some people that like it. All right, that's good. So remember, first thing we need to do, identify the text structure. Second thing we need to do, figure out why the author used it. That's our goal today. So while I'm reading, I want you to type the text structure in the chat. Make sure it's private. Type the text structure in the chat while I'm reading to see if you got what I got, okay? So it says a village might fish for herring. I'm starting right here at the bottom. Might fish for herring in a nearby area for 20 years, always bringing in huge numbers of fish. And then suddenly the fish will be gone, plunging the once prosperous village into poverty. What happened to the herring? In the Middle Ages, it was often believed that God had sent the herring away as punishment for people living immoral lives. When a village lost their school of herring, it was disgraced. Some took a more scientific view. At least for those times, they feared that fishermen farther out in the ocean were using too many nets and the herring were not able to swim into their fishing grounds. Netting was always seen as dangerous. Okay. Well, that's a paragraph for you. I lifted my lines already, just like you have lifted your lines. And I'm just like, man, well, what is the text structure? Well, I need to start with the lines that I lifted because I said they're the most important, right? So it says, what happened to the herring? And I wrote, this shows there's an event that they are trying to figure out why it happened. When we think about the why something happens, that's a cause. So it's probably cause and effect. Let me double check. Then my second sentence that I lifted was netting was always seen as dangerous, okay? Something is dangerous. Netting can cause cause and effect. So I think it's cause and effect. And then I have these causes of the problem. The keywords are believe and view. So they had one opinion and then there was another opinion. So this is what happened and this is what they think caused it. So the herring disappeared up here. And then this one shows why they think that it disappeared. So it's cause and effect. Now we found out the structure. What's the next thing we need to do? Somebody tell me. What's the next thing we need to do? Okay, I hear you. All right, so the next thing we need to do is figure out why they would make it cause and effect. We can't do that by just looking at the paragraph. We got to look all around the paragraph. So let's keep going. It says, but in reality, what probably happened was that subtle shifts in the order of nature had taken place. As Darwin noted, migration is an important factor. The herring that lived in the middle level of the ocean might have abandoned their fishing grounds because too many of the fish at the bottom of the ocean, which ate herring, had moved into the sea or the area. Or the herring might have gone because the smaller fish that they ate were leaving and they followed them in search of food. Or maybe many birds had driven the herring away or had driven some other types of fish that ate the same things as herring into the herring fishing grounds, which in turn had driven the herring away. Or it just might have been a combination of all these factors put together over time. So here we have a list of even more causes of the herring disappearing. Okay, so this section is combined. It's supposed to be a paragraph, but this is a whole section, right? So we're going to look at this section as a whole. And I'm just like, man, there's so many things that contribute to this structure, right? So the structure here is clearly cause and effect. But the question is why? What is he trying to reveal to us? Well, we know that there are a lot of causes. Why would he list so many causes? The only explanation that we have for him to list so many causes would be for him to say that we don't really know what happens. Well, I need to go back in the text and make sure that's true because I can't just come up with stuff on my own, right? So I have these words like probably, might, and then he repeats or over and over again. And I wrote down that the repetition of words or the use of parallel structure, remember that's sentences that are exactly the same structure, they're written the same way but have different words. show they're not sure why, but there are many factors that could have contributed to the situation. Well, we know the whole book is about the fact that the world would, there's so many things that contribute to the ecosystem that is in the ocean and where it is currently. So that actually makes sense, right? It's complex. So I want to look at my response, and let's take a moment. How many of you got the text structure right? Give me a hands up. Okay. Good job. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's go look at what we have, and let's look at Miss Witt's response for a second. It says in the text, the author uses cause and effect text structure, repetition, and sentence fragments to demonstrate the lack of certainty surrounding the disappearance of Herring during the Middle Ages. Okay, that's my statement. We know how to write these. We've written these several times. The cause and effect structure is introduced when the author states, okay, so remember my proof, I needed my proof that that was the structure. What happened to the herring? Okay, so that's my answer. Now I need to show how that's the answer. That's my explain piece, remember? This question helps the reader understand that the specific event has taken place and the cause of the event is important. Okay, so them asking the question shows us that there's an event that's taking place. All right, the book World Without Fish has a clear message that many factors can have a dramatic impact on ocean life, and his question also leads readers to wonder whether or not humans cause the herring to disappear. So when he asks that question, you're like, what do humans do? Because you've already been reading that, right? The fourth paragraph, so then remember that second paragraph we had to read? The fourth paragraph, beginning with but in reality, discusses many possible causes and is the most significant paragraph. It also helps the readers visualize the fact that no one knows for sure why the herring have disappeared. 3 fragmented sentences, so remember there's more than one, begin with the word or, stating another possibility. The sentence, or maybe too many birds had driven the herring away, shows readers that some causes are unlikely but still important. So remember, this shows you got to explain why you use that evidence. The final sentence in the paragraph, however, clarifies the idea that there is no definitive answer by stating it might have been a combination of those causes. Overall, remember, we got to summarize what we talked about. Overall, the author's use of the cause and effect structure and fragmented list of causes helps the readers visualize how complex the issue is. All right, so remember, we're going to rephrase it, but we're not going to say the same thing. All right, so I'm going to release you to start your work. I don't expect you to have your paragraph. What I want to see you doing right now is I want to see you going into your text. I want to see you identifying those pieces, and I want to see you finding the structure of your text and beginning to make the notes, okay? We're going to work together. I'm going to come back. We're going to work together on how to write your responses and create your think talks, but I want you to go ahead and go into your think tanks right now, go to your text rooms, and you're going to go to your think tanks and make those connections. Give me what you think. What is the text structure? What is the message? What lines created? Make those connections, and then we're going to spend some time writing, okay? So at this point in our lesson, we would take some time and each scholar would work in their think tanks. In the think tanks, they're actually asked to take information that they have, and there are buttons where they can connect their information with scholars who have similar information. While they're doing that, I would pull my scholars into a breakout room or into an alternative room where I can work with specific small groups. The small groups will be based on standards mastery in this situation, but I would also try to group them based on the text that they have chosen to work on, so that there's a choice text. I also would ensure that my scholars who have already mastered or shown mastery on this standard have that level 5 star mindset already walking in. So I would probably pull them first, those students who had mastered, and I would remind them of the level 5 and what I'm looking for in that level 5 strategy. When I finish going over the level 5 strategy with them, then my next statement would be to move into my students who need remediation in the areas of main idea. It is very difficult to analyze the structure and how it contributes to the main idea if we're still struggling with how to find the main idea. So if you did not see on the weekly planner that I have, that's what I use in my classes. If you did not see in the weekly planner, it offers them the opportunity to go back and look at the lesson for main idea. So they have that RI Reading Informational 8.2 lesson that they can go back to, and they can go through that process as well.